So today we're going to watch me make a pumpkin roll. So I know Hattie has made pumpkin rolls before. Who else has made a pumpkin roll before?
Does eating them now?
Does not.
Oh, come on. I'm being 100.
Okay, how many of you have made any kind of jelly roll cake where you have a thin cake that's rolled with some sort of filling? So same type process. So ours are pumpkin roll, yes sir. But this process you can use to make any flavor combination. Like I make one that's kind of like a ding dong cake. So it's got a chocolate sponge cake with a really light cream frosting or filling, and then a ganache on the top. So once you learn this process, it is definitely not as intimidating as sometimes people think. Okay, so you're going to fill in your recipe while I go. Okay, so I'm going to add 3 eggs to my mixer, and they have to be mixed on high for 5 full minutes. So I'm going to check my clock, which is way off. And we're going to mix them. I'm going to start off kind of low because I used this mixer yesterday, and so I know that it needs to be adjusted. It needs to be calibrated because the stir is not stir. It really goes pretty rapidly. So I'm going to go on stir for a second and then turn it up probably to about 6. And then I'm going to go until 6:25. Okay, so starting out, my eggs were almost this color because they're pretty much the color of the yolk. But what I'm watching for, I want them to turn about the color of the mixer in kitchen 3. They're going to be like a really buttery color. And they're kind of getting there already. And it's not even been a minute yet. So my next thing after I've gone my 5 minutes, I'm going to add my sugar. And what kind of sugar do you think we're using? Granulated sugar, white sugar. And I'm going to use 1 cup.
You only use the paddle with that sugar?
I always use the paddle, yes. Now, when you make your icing, you could use the whisk if you wanted, but I still always use the paddle. Okay, while that is going, I'm going to get because I've still got a good 3.5 minutes probably. So I'm going to get my baking sheet ready. Okay, so we're going to use, you guys don't use these very often. You use the commercial one. So you're going to use just a 10-inch by 15-inch baking sheet. And we want the bottom to be covered with parchment. So normally we have pre-cut pieces of parchment, but we're out right now and Sam's out of them. So we've just got the roll. So the length is exactly right. So you're going to go this way, and then I'm just going to kind of try to estimate. And I want to go with a little bit more instead of a little bit less because I don't want it to be too short. And then I'm going to line up one side. I'm going to pick this side because somehow I cut it crooked. So I'm going to line up my straight side. And then I'm going to make a little indentation with my finger. And then it tells me where I need to fold it. So now that should pretty much cover the bottom really well. Well, I put pictures like this on Google Classroom so you can look at them more, and you can zoom in on them and look at them more close. Spray the bottom. It kind of looks like spray insulation or something, and then you're going to spray all 4 sides also because it's going to rise, and we want it to pull away from the side. I kind of had to press down there because it is a little tiny bit bigger. And then the sugar, it wants you to add the sugar a little bit at a time. I'll let that get really good and dissolved, and then I'm going to add my pumpkin. So you'll be able to share with your kitchens beside you. And I'm going to need 2/3 of a cup. So I'm going to spoon it into this 1/3 cup. So I'm going to dump one at a time. and just get that mixed in really well. The next thing I'm gonna add with the pumpkin is some lemon juice. Why do you think we're adding lemon juice? What is our leavening agent? Do y'all know this on your recipe, what our leavening agent is? Is that one of the blanks you have to fill in? No, you've got it up top in your ingredients. So what is our leavening agent? It's baking powder. So baking powder and baking soda, one of them has to have acid in order to make your product rise. So which one do you think that is, probably based on the other ingredients? Powder, actually, we're using baking powder. So we are adding the teaspoon of lemon juice with our pumpkins, and it's not to make it taste lemon. It's not going to have any lemon flavor whatsoever. It's just so that we have that acidity, kind of like how you added acid, or you added that for acidity to your jams and jellies. My color, now I'm back to the color of this mixture. Like generally in that 5 minutes when your eggs are going, you can do this step. I did it before class so that we didn't get behind. So this is all of my dry ingredients. So this is my 3/4 of a cup of flour, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon, no, 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. How much flour?
Just 3/4.
All-purpose flour. Perfect. So cinnamon, nutmeg, baking powder, and then a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So when you're thinking about a cake, would you have expected this amount of flour, or would you maybe have expected a little bit more?
Flour, cinnamon.
Probably a little bit more. So this is not very much at all. And I can add it all at once.
What all was there?
This is flour, cinnamon, nutmeg, baking powder, and salt. So basically on your recipe, on your ingredient list, from flour down. Okay, and then the verb that my recipe says, if it says to fold it into the pumpkin mixture. So I can do that one of 2 ways. I can turn this on stir and let it really slowly incorporate it, but like we said earlier, I know this one is going a little bit too fast, so I'm going to do it by hand. Okay, so I'm just going to fold it in by hand, and if you've made macarons, you've done the folding technique, basically that means to really carefully incorporate your dry ingredients into your wet ingredients. So I'm not whisking, I'm not stirring really quickly. How many of y'all have seen that meme with David Rose trying to fold? He doesn't know what folded in means. He's like, how do you fold cheese? This is what you do. So you just kind of scoop from the bottom, and you're trying to get some of the wet ingredients up onto the top. Yeah, I'm going to stir it just a little bit more, but that's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah. Don't want to say what it looks like though.
Yeah, let's. It looks like a really yummy pumpkin roll to me.
Not to me, yeah.
Put on a little bitty, and then just pour it right in the center of your pan that you've already got the Baker's Joy. Now, what if you're making this at home and you don't have Baker's Joy? What could you maybe use instead? You could actually just use regular Pam, because that is the baking spray that has flour added into it. So we like it best, but if we're out of that, if we run out and we're still needing to make some, we'll just use regular baking spray. So now I'm going to kind of try to spread it out. But I'm going to try to spread it out and get it to go to all 4 corners. But I also don't want to leave any spots really thin.
Bake at what degree?
In your home oven, you're going to bake it at 375, but because our commercial one cooks higher, and I want it to finish faster, I've got that one back there on 350. Okay, so I have it spread, but I have a spot over here that I feel like I can see the parchment through it. So I'm gonna try to get every last bit of batter. Okay, but I want to, when you make bread, you want to have those air bubbles and lightness. This one, you don't really want air bubbles. So I'm going to drop it a couple of times to make the bubbles rise to the top. And then this one's ready to go in the oven. And it'll take about 10 minutes. So it'll come out before we're done. One of the things about a roll cake that makes people kind of intimidated is they crack a lot when you try to roll it. So these are the ones I demoed yesterday so that they're ready to go for you guys so you can see the icing process. So if I left it flat when it came out, it would crack when I tried to roll it. It would basically just kind of, it wouldn't roll, it would fold. So because we rolled these yesterday, it should, now you're going to ice them when they've been out for like 20 or 30 minutes and it'll be even better. Because these have totally cooled, they could crack, but hopefully not. And then I'm going to show you the process when that comes out. We're kind of doing things out of order because I'm going to show you the process of how you will roll it. And you have two options to roll. You either are going to roll onto a tea towel, like a lip free. So this is not terry cloth. So if we're using these, this is what we used to always use. We're going to roll parchment because it saves us tons of time with washing these in between morning session and afternoon session.
What's this?
Okay, let me grab some gloves because what is the cake now that it's come out of the oven? Ready? It is ready to eat, so I cannot touch it with my bare hand. This is my cream cheese icing that we'll make tomorrow because we'll run out of time if I try to make another batch today. So this has been refrigerated because I made it yesterday and then ran out of time with 6 periods. So it's not going to go on quite as easily as yours will because you're going to make it fresh. What do y'all think would be the best way to divide that out among our 15 pumpkin rolls? Because this is one I know because I just made one. We want it evenly among all 15. What would be the best way to do that?
God give it to me.
Correct. Measure, how would we measure? We weigh it. So I'm going to put up on the board how many ounces of icing you should have for each one, and it'll work out perfectly. I think if we do the same with the pumpkin roll, I think the pumpkin roll is 26.2 ounces of batter, and I think that's 13.1. But I'll look back up and make sure. Okay, so I'm going to unroll it totally, really carefully. Okay, it looks like it's cracking a little bit right there on the inside. I can't tell if it's going to crack all the way through or not. Now, if it cracks, is it going to make it taste different? So if it cracks to the point where they're ugly and not holding together correctly, we usually still process them totally, and then we sell those to students for a lower price. But the ones that we're selling to community members and teachers and things and your administrators, we want them to look really nice and show off your work, right? So we're going to save theirs to be the really good one. Okay, so this little curl right here. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this curl right here is kind of the, usually if it's going to crack, it's going to be here or right here, which is where I see my crack. But I don't think it's going all the way through. So I'm not going to fold this back totally. Yes, sir.
Did you orient the numbers then?
No, because we're going to do that when that comes out of the oven. So I'm not going to fold it back. I'm going to kind of reach under. And get my icing into there. And I want to have enough because I want to have a real pretty curly cube after we slice it and look at the side. And a little too much there. And we will usually get an assembly line going when we start our production. And then once I have that, I can just dump. The easiest way to do it usually is just to dump all of your icing. This is way too cold. Onto your pumpkin roll. And then you can either use one of these, or you guys who have decorated cakes, you know those little metal bent spatulas that we have. You can also use those. And I'm just trying to go about a quarter inch. It's not spreading very good because it's so cold. But I'm trying to get about a quarter or a half inch from each side. And just like my dough, like my batter, I want it to be real even. I don't want to have a really thick spot and a really thin spot. And it's going to spread much more easily when you don't have it with a burger. So we kind of have this down to a science where we know when to start what, so that we are not having to refrigerate things over. With you guys being in my morning class, you're probably going to do a lot of baking the cakes, and then sixth period will do a lot of icing the cake. And then probably tomorrow, I'll also have sign-up sheets where you can sign up to work to the after-school session. Help us finish things up. Okay. So I think this is about as even as I'm going to get this one with it being so cold, but I don't want to lose any of this cream cheesy goodness. The ratio of cream cheese to powdered sugar is even. So it's like equal amount of powdered sugar to cream cheese. So it is super cream cheese.
About one package of cream cheese.
One package of cream cheese and then a cup of powdered sugar. And then you also use a teaspoon of vanilla and a half a stick of butter. Which, how many cups would that be? A half a stick of butter. Half of that. Okay, so now I'm going to really carefully try to roll it back up. I'm done with my parchment now. I don't have to keep it. So here's the moment of truth. Did that crack all the way through? Oh, it was really close. It cracked just a tiny bit, but I think I can wrap it. And that will not be noticed. Okay. So now I have, we like to put a little extra powdered sugar on it though, so that it's not as ugly. I'm going to change gloves because I'm going to touch some stuff. Grab sugar. And I'm going to grab this film. So we wrap them really tightly. We're going to wrap it airtight in this Gilleran wrap. Here's two more things. And we're going to wrap it two different directions. We're going to wrap it kind of like hamburger style and hot dog style. This brand does not work as well as our other brand, but I'm trying to save the other brand for the ones we sell. Thank you. So we're going to move it to, oh, it's cracking bigger now that I have it out. We're going to move it to this and then refill a little more. Asher, can you tell how many minutes are on our time? One? Okay. That's good. Y'all will get to see that. Okay. So we want to give it like a little bit of snow. It's pretty. And then this is not, these are so big. This is not going to meet in the middle. Hey, Michael, will you hit that timer real quick? Okay, that's not going to meet in the middle. So then I'm going to bring another piece. It's basically about the width of my pumpkin rolls length. If I can get it pulled apart. And then we're going to roll. I may have to do two with this one.
My mom makes those at her work.
She does?
Yeah.
Where does she work?
Our
Oh, yeah, they make a bunch of them.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it one more time because there's just a tiny spot. So now that it's really airtight, I can either put it in the fridge. It has to be refrigerated though because of our cream cheese icing. I can either put it in the fridge and eat it within about 6 days, or I can put it in the freezer and I can leave it in the freezer as long as it stays wrapped airtight. I can leave it for like up to 3 months. Okay, so that one is ready now, and so we're gonna do our flipping in number 6. Always take a knife and run along all 4 sides to separate it from the pan, but this one I can see all 4 sides are moving, so I don't have to do that. And then I'm gonna set that there so this is burned. So we put powdered sugar down first before we flip it. So when we have a batch of 15 in the oven, as soon as you get them in the oven, a couple of you are going to start laying out 15 of these. So they're ready because they have to be flipped immediately or they'll start cooling off and then they might rip. Okay, watch this really quickly. And then you're just going to, don't try to flip from up here, come down here and try to have it fairly straight. Ooh. And you will have powdered sugar in your nostrils all week long. You'll be tasting powdered sugar. And then toss the powdered sugar up, and then you're going to roll it really carefully. Yes, ma'am. Okay.